Hi everybody, I'm Dim Jutsanov, the founder and solution architect of Singens. In this video, I would like to show you how to configure and use DocSPO Lite, the free version of our product DocSPO. DocSPO Lite is a free SharePoint Online add-in that extends the default integration between Dynamics 365 and SharePoint Online by providing advanced document management features. Let me first explain what does this definition mean. Dynamics 365 can store documents in 4 different ways. They are as attachments through the entity's notes or inside the email entity, using SharePoint, OneDrive for Business, or Azure Storage. Each of these approaches has advantages and disadvantages. For detailed description of them, please watch our video tutorial about document management options in Dynamics 365. We will now focus only on the SharePoint options, because DocSPO Lite is designed to work with SharePoint Online, which is the cloud version of SharePoint. As the definition says, it is a free SharePoint Online add-in, which means it is installed inside SharePoint Online. You can find it in the App Store as a free add-in and install it. Microsoft supports default integration between Dynamics 365 and SharePoint. Running a wizard inside Dynamics, you can set up a SharePoint site as a document location. After this setup, the documents are stored in SharePoint, which is primarily a content and document management system, while Dynamics offers user interface embedded into the entity's forms. Inside the SharePoint site, all configured entities types have dedicated document library. Each entity has its own folder within this document library, and the documents are stored inside the entities folders. This structure provided by the default integration is reused by DocSPO Lite. DocSPO Lite works on the top of this structure and brings to the user more document management features like multiple documents upload, improved search, options to migrate the existing notes attachments into SharePoint, configurable document sets control, and several others. Because of this, we say that DocSPO Lite extends the default integration between Dynamics 365 and SharePoint Online. And this is more marketing approach. The idea is that if you have already the default integration, you can add DocSPO Lite and test it. If, because of something, you don't find it useful, you can always remove DocSPO Lite and there will be no lost data. The default integration will continue to work. If you don't have currently the default integration, as a first step to use DocSPO Lite, you will need to configure it and thus to get familiar with the out-of-the-box functionality. Let's now jump to the DocSPO Lite and see it in action. We'll use the following scenario. We want to enable documents management for our account entities. And here are the steps that we are going to perform in this video. Configure the default integration using SharePoint Online site. Install and configure DocSPO Lite. Embed DocSPO Lite's documents grid control into an account entity form. Embed DocSPO Lite's search control into a Dynamics dashboard. Let's start. Here is our Dynamics 365 instance, and this is an account entity. Depending on our configuration, we may or may not see here the Documents item. In the Setups, where we can see the Documents menu item, but the integration is not configured, we will see a dialog like this one once we click on the Documents. Let's now configure Documents Management in the right way. We will navigate to the Documents Management settings. Enable first the server-based SharePoint integration. If we don't see this menu here, this means that the integration is already enabled. The configuration dialog will ask for a default SharePoint site. We will provide the URL of a modern SharePoint site that we have created especially for our Dynamics documents. It is important to notice that the Dynamics instance and the SharePoint site must have one and the same domain name. If they are different, we won't be able to enable the integration. Let's now configure the document management settings. Here we will select only account because this is the entity type that we want to enable the documents for. And we will use here the same SharePoint site that we provided a few seconds ago. And we are ready. If we now go to the SharePoint site and review its content, we will notice that there are newly created library with the same name as the entity type that we selected in the configuration dialog. This is the account library. Let's go back and see how we can show the documents link item in the menu. This control here is the user interface that I mentioned previously in the video. It communicates with SharePoint and provides options to work with the documents. Let's upload a document. This dialog here don't upload multiple upload, only a single upload, so we'll select one file. And the file we just uploaded in the account form is stored in the SharePoint library. We can also try to search for this file. This control will open the search page in SharePoint. But currently the search is not configured. Also, this is an index search, so it will take some time of the SharePoint crawler to find the file. With all these steps, we go through the configuration of the integration between Dynamics 365 and SharePoint Online. Let's now install and configure DocSPO Lite. As described previously, it is a SharePoint add-in, so we need to install it within our SharePoint site. If we go to Site Content, Add New Apps, and we search for DocSPO Lite, we will find that in the store there is one result. And this is the DocSPO Lite. Don't be confused, here is written SharePoint Store, but this is the same as App Store. Browsing directly the App Store, we can find again the add-in. Let's now install DocSPO Lite. DocSPO Lite is now installed. Let's navigate to it. On its first use, we will be redirected to a configuration wizard. This wizard will set up the connection with the Dynamics instance. The first step is to provide the URL of the Dynamics 365 instance. The second step is to select which of the existing libraries in the SharePoint site are related to the default integration between Dynamics and SharePoint. In our scenario, this is only the account library, so we will select only it, but you can always change these settings later. And we are ready. The homepage of the add-in provides quick search for documents. This is a real-time search. It does not use the SharePoint index search. Because of this, all documents appear immediately here. In the upcoming releases, DocSPO Lite will support also the full text search based on the SharePoint search feature. We just saw how to install and configure DocSPO Lite. Let's see now how to embed the documents grid into the entity form. We will navigate to the Embed as Iframe menu link, and here we can see two options: to embed the documents grid control into the entity form or to embed search control. Let's select entity form and copy the generated URL. Now back to Dynamics, we will customize the account entity form. We can use either a rep resource or directly to embed the iframe. For now, we will select the easiest option, iframe. There are two important settings here you should pay attention to. The first one is that you need to pass the object type code and the object ID as parameters. This is how the code logic in SharePoint will make the connection between Dynamics object and SharePoint documents. The second one is related to security. Since DocSPO Lite exposes only SharePoint pages that interact with the documents, the pages lives outside Dynamics. So if you want to view them in an iframe, you need to trust these pages and unselect the cross-domain restriction. This might be a serious security risk, so please check this with your tenant administrator and verify your company policies. We will modify it also a little the size of the frame, like this. And we are ready. Here is the DocSPO Lite Documents Grid Control embedded into the account entity. If we want now to have multiple upload, we just need to select the files. And they are uploaded. If we need to search for documents, we can use this control here. If we click on the document's name, the document will open in the browser. One important note here. This preview in the browser is a SharePoint functionality, so if the selected file extension is not supported by the SharePoint, the file will not open. Also, if you click on the file's location, the value in the library folder column, a new tab with the exact folder location will open. And as a last configuration, let's see how we can embed the DocSPO Lite search control into a dashboard. This is the same control that appears on the homepage of the add-in. Again, we will go to the Embed as iframe menu item and we'll select Search Page. In Dynamics, we are going to customize one custom dashboard. And we will use again iframe. This time we don't need the option for passing object properties to the page because this is search. But we need again the security setting that allows cross-domain requests. Again, one note, this checkbox is disabled if you are customizing personal dashboard. So make sure you do the customization through Settings, Customize the system. And we are ready. This is our dashboard and here is the DocSPO Lite search control. We can search for documents or filter the retrieved results. I presented you DocSPO Lite, the free SharePoint Online add-in that extends the default integration between Dynamics 365 and SharePoint Online. Any feedback or new functionalities requests are welcome. Please rate also the add-in in the App Store. Thank you.